Released by Capcom in the year 1997 on the PlayStation, Breath of Fire 3 would be the franchise's first step into 3D. Written and directed by Makoto Ikehara, the game suggestively takes place in the same world as the previous games but hundreds of years later. For story, the game features a different dragon warrior named Ryu, a different winged girl named Nina, and 5 other playable characters, though only 3 can be fielded at a time. For gameplay, combat is switched back to input-based, turn-based combat instead of traditional menus, and many features from previous games have been reworked or expanded, such as formations, learning new skills from NPCs, and town building. Dragon transformation has been overhauled to allow for a customizable form based on aspects the player chooses on the fly, and the masters around the world may influence stat growth for characters, in addition to an expanded fishing minigame. The camera can now rotate the isometric 3D perspective, and each character has a field interaction ability. The story only gets larger from here, so let's cut it down to size with a recapitation. As the game begins, we learn that when magical beings die, their bodies turn into an ore known as Chrism, and dragons, who once tried to destroy the world in a terrible war, have become one such energy source in death after their mysterious extinction. As time passes, we now see a normal excavation of dragon ruins as a pair of workers unearth and awaken a baby dragon named Ryu that is somehow still alive. Startled, the whelp incinerates the pair and runs amok in the mine, killing miners and engineers as he flees. However, it suddenly hears a voice from nearby dragon remains telling him to stop, which distracts the creature long enough for it to be knocked out, captured, and sent away. Breaking free from his cage, Ryu reverts to a humanoid form and is saved by a man of the Warren Cat tribe named Ray. Figuring him to be another orphan, Ray takes Ryu home where he also cares for another orphan boy named Teepo. As he rests, Ryu sees a strange vision of an angry man and then a caring goddess, and waking up, finds that Ray and Teepo are thieves trying to get by in a small town that's already on hard times. Somehow, Teepo already knows Ryu's name and is not quite sure how he does, but soon enough they move to include Ryu into their fold and show him the ropes of being a road bandit. Fumbling an encounter with the burly Bunyan, who doesn't like the local thieves, they spitefully try to rob his house of food only to get caught in the act by Bunyan himself. Bunyan ties them up but tries to reason with them and appeal to their sense of morality, willing to forgive and forget if they work honest jobs for their meals going forward. Ray and Ryu agree, but Teepo professes he has no intention of changing and claims to have big dreams for the future. After working off their debt, they catch up to Ray, who is sent to kill a troublesome monster in the mountains. They succeed together, though the victory feels bittersweet as the monster was just trying to protect its nest, even though its cubs already died of starvation. They reflect on this as Bunyan congratulates them on a job well done, spreading the word to the village, and the boys are surprised to see they've earned some respect and thanks from the village. Afterwards, a cloaked man named Loki approaches them with another job to steal tax money back for the villagers, and thinking this will help the village too, they accept. Resourcefully sneaking into the McNeil Manor, they find the haunted house guarded by the ghosts of the McNeil ancestry and walk in on the current McNeil getting some nighttime exercise. Busting the Phantom Amalgamation, they take back the tax money as McNeil swears revenge and redistribute it to the village. However, the townsfolk are not happy as they quickly give the money back to McNeil, and as the group wonders why, Bunyan mentions Loki didn't know McNeil was working for a large crime organization that doesn't like being stolen from. As the realization of the consequences of their actions hits them, they hurry home only to find their house on fire, and 2 brothers named Sunder and Balio greet the boys and swiftly beat them all down as a lesson not to mess with the wrong people. As Ryu wakes up later, he's in the care of Bunyan, with Ray and Teepo nowhere to be found, and determined to find them, begins a search in the nearby city of Windia. However, along the way, he runs into the brothers again, who are surprised to see Ryu somehow still alive, and run him through with a sword one more time to make sure he dies. Strangely, Ryu's body spits out the blade and changes into a dragon, still alive, and while this shocks the brothers, they see a profit opportunity here. Taking Ryu to Castle Windia, they try to pass off the whelp to the king, but by the time they do, Ryu has changed back to being human. Insulted at the Khan, the king has them all arrested, though the royal princess Nina visits Ryu, feeling he should be set free. The brothers trick her into releasing them too, and immediately kidnap her for ransom. Angered, a font of power washes over Ryu as he breaks down his cell doors and chases the bandits down, allowing Nina to escape, but despite their best effort, the kids are both caught again by the brothers. Taking them to the seedy arena town of Genmul, the brothers aim to enter an event called the Contest, and during their absence, the kids escape once more. Once again, the brothers pursue the kids, and as they run to the mountains, Nina's quick thinking and potent magic help them narrowly slip away. However, as they tumble down a sheer slope, Ryu unconsciously turns back into a dragon to shield her fall. She's grateful and not at all afraid of Ryu's draconic form, but seeing as they are now totally lost, the kids try to gain their bearings at a large tower nearby. Within, they find a scientist researching the Chrism here and member of the Grassrunner clan named Momo, who after hearing them out, offers to take them to Windia herself. She is shocked to learn Nina is also Windia's princess, and also notices shady people looking for the kids, leading them to a hidden exit built by her father. Her father was a genius engineer who left copious amounts of reference material for research purposes in his office, including a working model rocket they used to launch out of the tower. Making their way to Windia, they learn the gang is blockading the main road and checking everyone, and as they rest, Momo is recognized by Pallet, the former assistant to her father Repsol, and now director of the plant her father built. He recruits her to maintain some of the machines her father also built, as Momo explains they use Chrism to grow crops there at an accelerated rate. However, when she arrives, Pallet reveals he actually wants her to exterminate a giant mutant onion that was exposed to too much Chrism energy and dispose of another mutant elsewhere. Following it to its source, they find a large mutant plant monster that can actually talk, and learning they were sent to kill it, it attacks them in self-defense. After losing, it apologizes and begs them not to mention its existence to others, accepting that it should never have been created and agrees it should die. As it's dropped into the magma, Momo has second thoughts, wishing they could study it instead, and the mutant replies that's a slippery slope, as more knowledge isn't wrong, but it can lead to the creation of worse monsters. Just then, an offspring mutant onion leaped from the magma, and just as Ryu moves to kill it, Momo insists they save this one, believing it was entrusted to them as a reminder not to make another one. Naming the mutant onion baby Peko, they accept it into the party, and as thanks for finishing the job, Pallet offers them a mean to sneak inside Windia. However, this is a setup, as Pallet wishes to silence Momo about the mutant originating from his plant, and is actually working with the Beast Brothers. As the group is captured, they are brought back to Genmel, but Nina proposes that if they enter the Contest of Champions Arena Challenge and win, then they be let free, as the winners can ask for whatever they want. Seeing a profit opportunity with insider betting here, the brothers agree, and though the group makes it to the finals, the brothers have no intention of honoring their deal. For the final fight, Ryu is pitted against a powerful member of the mysterious Guardian race named Gar, and after Gar easily wins, he surprises everyone by asking for Ryu and his friends. With no choice but to comply, the group is brought under Gar's care and protection, and he forces Balio and Sunder to let them all go, though the brothers refuse to give up so easily. On their way out, Nina asks Gar why he helped them, and he replies it's simply because Ryu is actually a member of the ancient dragon race called the Brood. He adds if Ryu wants to learn more about the Brood, then to find him at a place called Angel Tower. First things first, they resume their return to Windia, though Balio and Sunder scheme to gather as many of their men as they can to surround, exhaust, and recapture the group once more. However, Gar arrives not having any of it and chooses to leave his old boss and join Ryu's group. Their hand force, the Beast Brothers fuse together into an Ultra form, and even their utmost fails before the group. After the battle, Nina informs Gar Ryu is also searching for his lost friends, Tipo and Rei, but Gar isn't confident they're alive as Ryu only survived the gang's attack because of his race's toughness. Escorting Nina back home safely, the princess recounts her adventure to the king, though Gar conceals the key detail that Ryu is a dragon. After the celebration feast, Nina is dismayed that the group will go their separate ways now and spots Momo's miniature mechanical minion, Honey, running around the grounds. Chasing it, it takes her high above the castle where Nina slips and falls off a ledge. Quickly grabbing Honey, the little robot enables her to not quite fly but fall with style, draining all of its energy to save Nina. Hurrying, she catches up to the others as they camp on the road, and Momo sees Honey just needs more Chrism energy. At the same time, Gar warns Ryu there is a chance he may die after learning more about the Brood, and overhearing this, Nina insists on coming along to ensure he doesn't. Gar doesn't mind this, observing Ryu tends to draw out more power to protect Nina, and while she's glad to hear it, she also swears to get stronger so he won't have to. Along their journey eastward, they help a timid man fight for love and fix a lighthouse powered by Chrism energy with a powerful monster guarding at his side. However, turning on the lighthouse prompts a panic from a fairy to shut it off and demands they visit the fairy village to make up for it. Once there, they learn the light bothers a pink dolphin that threatens to eat the fairies over it, and once the Australian accented mecha terror is taken care of, the fairies thank them and encourage them to revisit the village they are trying to rebuild. Learning of a secret path through the mountains, they are intercepted by an old hermit who knows they seek Angel Tower and attacks them, claiming to avenge the dead. Cutting past him, they enter the land of the Urkin people, who are deeply devoted to the goddess, and is the hometown of Gar and other guardians like him. The leader of the village questions Gar's next move now that he has returned from his journey to rid the world of evil, wondering if he will go to sleep now. Soon enough, the group arrives at Angel Tower, where they also discover a woman with blue hair sleeping within a barrier of light. Insisting they go on alone, Gar leads Ryu to the catacombs where he shows them the graves of previous Urkon warriors called guardians like him, who also went by another term, Dragon Slayers, revealing countless skeletal remains of the hundreds and hundreds of dragons he and his clan have killed in the war, many of which their souls still burn. Turning to Ryu, Gar now shares the eternally retold story of the Brood, a tale transcending history and the world, as 400 years ago the mighty Brood attempted to conquer the world. The Urkon people prayed to their goddess for protection and bestowed upon them the Guardians to fight the Brood. Believing in their power and reaching for victory, their grueling battle ended with the victory of the Guardians. Declaring Ryu the last of the Brood, Gar states his purpose will be fulfilled once Ryu is killed here. Fate conspired to arrange their battle as the two souls fiercely entangle and Ryu edges out a win. Gar waits for Ryu to finish him off, but the souls of the dead dragons around Ryu speak out and tell him not to, claiming Gar is not his enemy. Suddenly, uncontrollable power erupts from Ryu, transforming him into a mighty Kaiser Dragon as he escapes through the roof, though within his mind, Ryu continues to be driven mad by voices and reverting to his draconic nature. In this state of mind, Ryu returns to the mines he was first found in, where Gar finds and defeats him. Ryu turns back into a human form, but a young man this time, where Gar explains many years have passed since their last encounter, and he has searched for him all the while. He asks forgiveness for slaying so many Brood, once thinking that was his purpose in life, but now reveals most of the Brood did not even fight back as they were slaughtered despite their power. Gar wonders why to this day, and believes his life is still forfeit to Ryu, asking to be allowed to live until he learns more. To the side, a dark energy claims it was their power that called out to Ryu here and confronts them, not approving of Ryu allowing Gar to live and revealing itself to be a vengeful dragon zombie. It scoffs as Gar explains he is taking Ryu to see his god and learn if the dragon war was justified. Another voice urges Ryu not to give in to hate, and the zombie hears this voice too, angered at the interference and attacking the duo. Defeating the ghoul, it compresses into a malevolent dark orb that Ryu claims the power of, and suddenly a light shines out and a winged woman speaks to them that the zombie was no dragon. It points to Ryu as a true dragon before turning into an orb as well, and Ryu absorbs her warm energy too. Not sure what that was all about, the pair head out and down the mountain as Ryu is stressed to learn he had no control when in dragon form and once again has killed many people over the years. On the road back to his home village, the pair are attacked by a fearsome were-tiger, but strangely it escapes when Ryu beats it back. Back in McNeil, it turns out Mayor McNeil is under investigation of corruption, and checking on his old home, Ryu is shocked to see Ray again. Not only is he alive after all, but an equally surprised Ray mentions he was also the were-tiger they just fought, impressed at Ryu's strength. Ray adds he's been laying low and keeping an eye on the black market, tracking down and attacking those who tried to kill them all those years ago. He's glad Ryu's alive, but admits he cannot stop now, still hungry for revenge for him and Tipo. Shortly after, McNeil is arrested and taken away by Windia's soldiers, as well as Nina, who is shocked to see both Gar and Ryu again. Gar is able to offer information on the gang Nina is cracking down on, and together they all travel to Sin City, only to find Ray has just violently assaulted the town and the criminals within, seeking to kill the current boss. They follow his trail of blood to catch him cornering the Dawn and slashing him, but it turns out the Dawn is actually a powerful demon in disguise. Helping Ray cut down the fiend, the Dawn reveals Ryu already killed Balio and Sunder years ago, so Ray is chasing a ghost. Ray is surprised to hear this and admits that he sees now he's just been running around wildly killing with no real point. He then questions why the Brood, Ryu included, wields such massive power to begin with, and Gar says they're going to Angel Tower to ask the same question to his god, who wanted the Brood exterminated. Along the way, Nina asks for their help in resolving an issue at the Chrism plant, and they arrive to find Momo helping maintain the machinery there still. She explains Pallet has gone missing, mutants are now reappearing, and the Chrism reactor is on the verge of overloading. Picking up Peko near the legendary tree Yggdrasil, they investigate the plant, finding a hidden research lab underground and something called Project AA. It turns out there are live experiments involving mutants going on, and further in, Pallet is found to be working on a process to revive his dead mother. Momo correctly deduces Pallet is actually responsible for the creation of the mutants in the first place, and while the director admits this, he adds it was her father Repsol who actually built this machine and facility for the purpose of bringing back his dead wife. Repsol even figured out how to mix sap from Yggdrasil with Chrism energy to make the crucial elixir for the process, yet a pang of ethics caused him to stop the experiment. Pallet was just picking up where he left off, and intending to protect the experiment, drinks some pure essence of the Yggdrasil tree and transforms into a giant monster. As the group cuts him down, they also cut the switch to his mother, allowing her to rest in peace. As they leave, Nina thanks Momo for her help, and Momo is glad her father had more sense than to try and resurrect the dead. As Momo chooses to stay with the group as they head east, Nina makes her report about her business with the plant. However, Ray is outed as a friend to Ryu, who is still accused of kidnapping the princess when they were kids. Nina tries to explain Ryu is a good person, and there is a misunderstanding, but refusing to listen, the king and queen demand their arrest anyway. Fortunately, Honey leads them to a strange device that teleports them outside, where they all regroup and arrive at Angel Tower. Once there, Gar explains that when all Guardians have completed their duty, Guardians are allowed to meet with their god, where usually they return the power bestowed to them and are turned to stone. However, as he prays, Gar is told God will not come by the woman in the blue barrier. She tells them if they want to meet God, then they must release her, and Gar recognizes her as Dis. Learning an older Guardian named Geist has a key they need, Geist advises Gar to run away like he did if he also harbors doubt against God. Geist mentions the world thinks the Brood started the war, but reveals they didn't, nor did they fight back when the Guardians were hunting them, causing him to become disillusioned before Gar did, so he knows where he's coming from. Testing Ryu's will through battle, the Dragon Warrior wins the duel, which also breaks the barrier tied to Geist's life. Content to have his life taken by the Brood after the hundreds of Brood lives he took, Geist says the power God fears may be Ryu's ability to make friends of foes, satisfied as he passes away to dust. Returning to Angel Tower, they release Dis, who wakes up and sucker punches Gar for being bound for 500 years. Still, she presumes they are now ready to hear what she has to say, meeting them at a volcano nearby where she regains more of her power and her true serpentine form. She is not yet strong enough to take them to God directly right now by herself, but she can show them the way, opening Ryu's inner eye to allow him to see the path as well. A ball of light called Prana, also called the Eye of God, will guide him as it points to somewhere far north beyond the sea. Helping an old friend with repairs to his ship thanks to Momo's mechanical engineering expertise, the favor is paid back as the group is ferried to their next destination. However, their small ship cannot handle the rough outer ocean tides. Seeking the legendary Mariner, the group makes some legendary Shisus so good it makes grown men cry with national pride, and race through treacherous shallows to meet the legend himself, but unfortunately he is just a legend. All the same, he tells them to seek out the Black Ship, which is a transport ship that is built for large ocean travel, but is also fully automated and will return to its point of origin across the sea. Finding and ramming the vessel in order to board it, the group navigates the maze of machines inside as Momo was able to figure out the advanced controls just as Ryu's Prana continues to light the way. Letting the ship run its automated course, the group passes the time until after several days the ship docks and the group finds themselves in a strange new land. What they find are automated machines that handle most of the tasks alongside placid people who carry on almost as lifelessly as the machines. The group pensively reflects on their own motivations so far, but Momo is the most excited to potentially learn where all the machines they use actually come from. Exploring the lost shore, they find a strange building with a rotating dish on top, finding a similar teleportation device like the one underneath Windia Castle. Activating it with a laser mechanism, they take the portal to another relay station and are shocked to find it leads them right back to Urkon. Though they are right back where they started, Momo theorizes the portals are relics from the ancient times of God, thinking God must somehow be connected to the advanced machines they use, and it's possible there may be a portal straight to God. Realigning the relay transmitter, they travel to a remote village called Dragnir, only to find all the inhabitants are actually Brood, like Ryu. To Gar, they explain they gave up their powers and fled during the Great War, but have been waiting for this moment, calling Ryu the Dragon Prince. Elaborating, during the war when they were all about to be wiped out, in order to survive the Brood either gave up their powers and fled from the Guardians, or buried themselves deep underground and hid. The ones underground would produce children and then sleep, waiting for when the Brood could emerge once again. They offer to tell Ryu more about the goddess he seeks and their enemy, Miria, urging him to awaken his true power and confront the goddess. To the side, Momo points out a portal here means this village has been around since the Techno Age, as they also learn the dragon statue common across the land used to be called Ladin the Dragon God, but is now referred to as the God of Travelers. Naturally, the folk here do not trust a guardian like Gar, as the eldest among them, one who was actually there during the war, still lingers and invites them to talk. Meeting the elder, Jono, he tells Ryu the history of his people, since even before the Great War, and refers to a mural nearby. With each age, a warrior appears among the Brood, and alongside allies clash against the evil named Miria, who has appeared as a mortal and other times a devil. Now she is the god of the Urkons and the one they seek for answers, as the elder adds he does not personally hate the Guardians despite what they have done. Continuing, he states the Brood and Miria have battled for ages, and it's true the power of the Brood threatened the world, but the reason they lost the war was the choice not to use their power, as the force of their full might was more a danger to the world than the war. However, it's not like the dragons were fighting for any particularly noble or vile reasons, but regardless, his time has come to bequeath the power of the Brood to Ryu. Prepared to die, Jono informs Ryu that in order to receive the hidden essence, Ryu must strike him down with all of his might, and only then will his training be complete. Edging out a win, Ryu proves himself worthy as Jono fades away and leaves behind an orb that is absorbed by Ryu. Stronger than before, Ryu is then told to head north through the Desert of Death, and powered up for more, he does not look back as he does whatever he can to make sure the group makes it to the distant oasis together. As Nina recovers from heat stroke and everyone recuperates, they hear of a nearby ruins called Kaer Zhen and visit it to find it full of robots as well, including some that look like honey. Marveling at the advanced technology that is still operational, they discover a lift to Miria Station, the same name as God, and find it takes them high into the sky to an orbital station. Fending off the resident monsters, they arrive in a luscious green field indoors, where there is the man in purple from Ryu's visions already there, who welcomes Ryu by name. Turning, he adds he already knows Ryu is Brood and is unsurprised at his eventual arrival. Rei is shocked to recognize the young man as Teepo and overcome with relief to see him alive, but Teepo cuts him off to focus on Ryu. He states he can answer all of his questions and begins by explaining after they were separated, he learned he too was Brood with a dragon transformation. Like Ryu, he experienced a long and bloody trail of pain and death to both the deserving and the innocent, and realized along the way the power of the Brood causes too much conflict, chaos, and collateral damage to the world. He clarifies he is not here to kill Ryu, as the goddess also feels there is only a threat if the Brood are left unchecked and uncontrolled. Rather, he insists Ryu stay here with him and Miria, and sends him away to a manifestation of his mind where he can not only dive inside his own heart but also connect to the hearts of his friends as well. For Nina, she was happiest just being herself in the group, out from the shadow of her mother who would pressure her to contain herself and mind her status as a princess, but there is the lingering guilt of a self-indulgent lifestyle. For Rei, he is torn between having a unique power that pales in comparison to the Brood, yet knowing he lacks the means to use the power responsibly. For Momo, she walks a path first tread by her father, and the weight of the issues of God in the world feel a bit over her head, especially since she is more interested in Lost Technology Age. Gar is still undergoing a crisis of faith, wondering if obeying God's orders was saving the world or not. Surprisingly, Peko appears before Ryu as well, not only articulating clearly, but revealing he's been observing Ryu this whole time, reassuring him to stay the course and do what he feels is right. Finally, Ryu comes face to face with his own self-reflection, who comments that if one has the power to change the world, then they should take responsibility for the world as well. It insists Miria is the only one able to carry that burden and Ryu should surrender himself to her, but refusing, Ryu walks past his image only to run into Teepo, who was surprised to learn Peko was actually the legendary Yggdrasil. Regardless, Teepo urges him to see for himself how his companions are just thinking of themselves and their small selfish desires, and Miria is the only one worthy of their might. When Ryu refuses again, Teepo tries to strip Ryu of his brood power without killing him, but when this fails, sees no other choice but to take down his old childhood friend. As Teepo assumes a powerful dark magic form, Ryu and the group defeat him, though he shoots back Miria is right and all the brood know how to do is use their power to fight. As he dies, he admits all he wanted was to be with Rei and Ryu again, leaving behind a means for the group to proceed. Finding another underground lab filled with various powerful or unusual specimen, Honey is somehow able to grant them access past some high-level security here. Beyond, they are greeted by a hologram who says Miria is just ahead. It also adds that before Miria arrived, the world was dying as desertification was overtaking the land and life was being sucked out by its inhabitants. Seeing this, Miria divided the world in half, one being the Desert of Death where they are now, and the other being the land they just came from, overflowing with life. Miria divided the two lands by the wide outer sea to protect life from the desert, and safeguarded this measure by controlling access to technology and restricting development of newer or potentially dangerous technology. Miria would also maintain control through Chrism energy, which are the fossils of living beings altered by her power in order to give the world magical energy. At long last, the group is greeted by the goddess herself, and Gar wastes no time posing his question to her. Strangely, Miria does not directly answer the question, instead pointing out how she uses what little strength she has to save the rest of the world, opting to erase the group's memories and removing them from the scene entirely. However, after banishing all but Ryu, Peko returns them all safely with his own power, reminding Miria he is Yggdrasil and warning her not to underestimate them. She then leaves it up to Ryu how to proceed next, asking him to make a choice to either give up his power and allow the world to continue as it has under her protection, or challenge fate with his power that is too large for her world like the other brood. Remembering his friends, Teepo, and his own values, Ryu chooses to make his own path, and Miria warns him that to go against her is to go against the whole world. Though, Peko counters what this really means is that life has outgrown the cage she has made, and there is more to life than just surviving. Seeing no other choice, Miria reluctantly declares her intent to kill Ryu for the sake of her world, and defying the goddess, Ryu, Nina, Rei, Momo, Gar, and Peko stand their ground and strike down her ascended form and fury. As the group prevails, Gar hopes they did the right thing, revealing his life ends alongside the goddess, urging them to flee the now collapsing facility as he enters the stone's sleep. Miri reverts to normal, lamenting the loss of the world she made, calling out to any other god to answer how she could have done better by the brood or the world. To her surprise, Dis, her sister, appears to say enough is enough, the world has outgrown its need for her protection, and she made a bad call to exterminate the brood selfishly. Though, she adds the children of the world will be just fine on their own, accompanying her sister in her final moments as the group narrowly escapes the destruction. As they now walk the desert, the open expanse is no longer under the grip of an overprotective goddess as they look forward to an unshackled future of their own making. Breath of Fire 3 has enjoyed the success of selling over 1 million copies worldwide. Thank you for watching this recap, I hope it helped, and if you like this, check out the recap for the rest of the Breath of Fire series. Comment if you think this is a distant sequel to the second game, and where you rank it in the series. Subscribe for more recaps like this, share with someone who could use it, and shout out to the patrons and channel members. You can support the channel even further too by following the links in the description and becoming a patron or channel member. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next battlefield.